Hello everyone, I'm Ryan. You know I love exploring the great arcs of world history, but today we're stepping into a purely fictional scenario. One that does not reflect my views because I believe in peace and the right of nations to live free from aggression. Still, alternate history can help us understand the stakes of real events. So what if Russia had won the war in Ukraine? Not just a few territories, I mean a complete and decisive victory. Kyiv falls, Zelensky captured or exiled. A pro-Moscow government installed. NATO stunned. This isn't just fiction. It's a window into an alternate reality that almost happened. So what would that world look like? Let's dive in. Imagine waking up to a headline that changes the course of history. Russia has won the war in Ukraine. Kyiv has fallen. The Ukrainian flag is gone from its capital. And the balance of power in Europe has shifted overnight. This isn't just about two countries. It's about what happens when a victory in one place rewrites the rules everywhere. Let's step into this alternate timeline, where Moscow's victory echoes across continents. In this alternate timeline, the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine goes according to plan. Kyiv falls within 3 weeks. Russian special forces decapitate Ukraine's leadership. Volodymyr Zelensky flees to Poland or is arrested. A puppet regime loyal to Moscow is installed. Ukraine is declared neutral, banned from joining NATO forever. The West's sanctions hit, but they're slower, more fractured, less united. And just like that, Vladimir Putin becomes the man who redrew Europe's map. It would have been the biggest forced regime change in Europe since World War II. And historically, we've seen similar shifts. Think of Eastern Europe after World War II, or even the partitions of Poland. Big powers decide. Smaller nations get swallowed. In this world, Russian forces control not just Crimea, but the entire southern coastline of Ukraine. Odessa becomes a fortified naval base. Ukrainian resistance is crushed in the east, and millions flee westward into Poland, Slovakia, and Romania. The Ukrainian government in exile struggles to be heard, while a Russian-backed regime takes its place in Kyiv. The war ends on paper, but occupation begins in reality. For centuries, Russia has sought control over warm water ports, the key to projecting power beyond its borders. A victory in Ukraine would secure this dream. With Crimea fully integrated and Ukraine's Black Sea coast in Russian hands, the Black Sea becomes a Russian lake. But here's where history whispers in the background. In the 19th century, control of the Black Sea drew Russia into conflict over Constantinople, today's Istanbul. The Russian Empire long dreamed of controlling the Bosphorus Strait, the gateway between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean. Why? Because whoever controls this passage controls trade, military movement, and influence stretching from southern Europe to the Middle East. In Tsarist times, this meant challenging the Ottoman Empire. In our alternate future, it could mean challenging NATO member Turkey. The fall of Ukraine would place Russian naval power just a few hundred kilometers from the strait. It would embolden Moscow to pressure Ankara through diplomacy, energy leverage, or even military threat to allow greater Russian passage into the Mediterranean. And here's the danger. If the Black Sea becomes a fortress under Russian control, every NATO ship, every oil tanker, every trade route through Constantinople falls under the shadow of Russian dominance. Crimea wouldn't just be a peninsula. It would be the launchpad for Moscow's longest-running geopolitical ambition: to turn the Black Sea into a bridge, not a barrier, to the rest of the world. A Russian victory would split NATO between Eastern members pushing for a direct confrontation and Western members fearing nuclear escalation. The alliance might expand its military presence in Poland and its Baltic states, but the psychological blow would be severe, proving that borders in Europe can still be changed by force. In the long run, a Russian victory would embolden other powers. China might move faster on Taiwan. North Korea could provoke more recklessly. The UN, already fragile, could become irrelevant. The rules of the post-Cold War world, territorial sovereignty, diplomacy over force, global economic cooperation, would collapse. A new order would emerge, one based on power, not principle. And that, perhaps, is the biggest change. Not just a victory in Ukraine, but a victory over the very idea that borders are sacred, that democracies matter, that small nations have the right to exist freely. History doesn't repeat, but it does echo. And in a world where Russia won the war in Ukraine, the echoes would be loud, dark, and familiar. If you find this kind of alternate history intriguing, make sure to like, subscribe, and to drop a comment below. Which what-if scenario should I cover next? This is Ryan. See you in the next timeline.